I didn't fight my way through a battalion of parademons to be told to calm down!
And they say I got a temper.
You have me at a loss, Mr.
My name is Orion. I fled from the fire pits of Apocalypse to warn you. He's coming.
Who is?
Darkseid.
Hello everyone, thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my most favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them. I love sharing them. Feel free to follow me on social media. I have links in the description below. And today we are going to be looking at Orion number 11 from 2001, written and drawn by the one and only Walter Simonson, one of my most favorite. And the letters, of course, by the one and only John Workman Jr., who is my favorite letterer and one of the top 3 best letterers in the business. Here is the cover with Orion victorious over Desaad. And so, Orion has reached Desaad. Oh, quick disclaimer, I own this copy. I always just like to tell people these are comic books that I own. I just using a digital version of them, but I actually own everything I share. If I don't own it, I don't share it. So Desaad is here, and one of his servants is like, Master, what shall we do? And here are the credits. And he is going to, he's got a plan because Orion is coming to kill him. And he uses a boom tube to escape and blows up his laboratory in Apocalypse. But Orion, of course, escapes. And he kills his people. So Desaad, like Darkseid and the others, are just evil. Don't care about much. So he goes into Nebraska mainline where the story started. I do have a playlist with all of the issues till current, and feel free to go into the playlist and check them out. So he arrives in mainline Nebraska, which is like I said, it was in the beginning. He's going to go to the lab that he had there. And he has another clone of Billionaire Bates, as he was called. These are creations from Jack Kirby. In the description below, I do have a link to the DC wiki page. Feel free to check it out, and you can find out anything you want on all these characters. So what he wants is he wants him to get the anti-life equation from everybody that is currently in mainline. And the thing about Billion Dollar Bates, he was the only person who was ever able to use the entire anti-life equation. And so that's what the clone is for, so he can gather all that. And he says it's an imperfect clone, but it's gonna have to do. So they test it, and Desaad says kill all the doctors and nurses that are left, and of course they do, as they take the life out of it. And Desaad is happy with the results. So, back in Apocalypse, Orion is getting ready to go get Desaad. And he wants Father Box to tell him where the boom tube took him. And, you know, he just says ting, 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 but which, of course, Orion translates for us. Father Box doesn't want to tell him, and he says, speak or die. So, of course, he tells him where he is. So, Um, they open up another boom tube, and Orion makes his way back to Nebraska. The Sod says he's here and then prepares all the people um, to get the anti-life ready to destroy Orion. So he knows that there's a trap being set. He sees all the anti-life glyphs here, so he's going to hit it, but there is a force field on it. He asks Father Box why didn't he warn him, and he's like, Father Box answers telling him he was angry, and Orion tells him if he doesn't tell him, he'll crush him into scrap. All right, so then he backs up a little bit, and Orion knows that this is Desaad's last gasp. So he wants to know, like I said, where he is, and Father Box tells him he is in the hidden base from before. So Orion heads down there. So Orion gets in there, does not um, see Desaad, and he needs to destroy this door. The Astroforce is no longer working effectively, but he brought a big ray gun so that he can burst that door, and he's ready now to confront Desaad. Real quick before, I just want you to feast on the beautiful lettering of John Workman. Goodness gracious. What an amazing letterer he is. Amazing. So, we're now in New Genesis. As I mentioned, I have the complete playlist, so this is just continuing. I have every issue from number 1 until current on the playlist. And so we are seeing that Tachyon is trying to, Light Ray is trying to find Tachyon because of all the rumors that Orion is trying to arm Apocalypse. This lady here calls for him. Her name is Meteora. Light Ray says he doesn't recall seeing her before. And she tells him, do you know everybody in there? He says, yes, especially the pretty ones. But he has to go. He needs to find Tachyon. And then she slaps him on the back of the head and puts in this little device here. And she says here it's more vital that you don't speak to him, at least not until she's spoken to him first. So Simonson is just trying to set up the next, Simonson's always moving forward. If you follow me, I also have his Thor from the very beginning, his Thor run. Simonson is always moving the story forward. So he's not just one of my favorite writers or artists. He's also one of my favorite writers. I just think he does such a wonderful work. So we're now back on Earth. Orion is still trying to find Desaad, and Desaad has thrown all these objects in his way, just trying to slow him down. And he sees that Orion has made it all the way to him. Desaad is actually quite impressed. As if you've been following from the beginning, you know that there was doubt that Orion was, if Orion was really Darkseid's son, as a rumor had been started by Orion's mother. And Desaad is like, he has to be. He's so powerful. So when he wants to use the entire life equation against Orion to kill him, and we're seeing here as the anti-life equation is being powered up. So this here would be all the people. and very Kirby-like. I can see a lot of Kirby in Walter Simonson, but Walter Simonson, um, I don't know. It's very it's very difficult to kind of describe. I don't love Kirby that much, but I love Simonson so much. So it's just so different. But um, he finds him, and he's hit with the anti-life equation from behind, and or it's coming toward him. He hasn't been hit yet, and Desaad looks on, and Orion sees it from behind. Now it hits him, and Orion falls, and he's writhing in pain, and Desaad is enjoying all this pain that he is, but Orion grabs him and snaps his neck, and Desaad dies next to him. But it's not over. Inside Orion is the anti-life, and it was by design. The clone actually had done this on purpose. The clone wanted to be free and to finally die. He had, of course, brought Orion there so that Orion would be able to take the anti-life equation himself. And these clones, it kind of gives you a quick origin of Billion Dollar Bates and how he'd been cloned as they were trying to get the anti-life equation, but he has now given it to Orion so that Orion takes his revenge, or Billy Bates' revenge against Apocalypse, essentially. And we can see here as Orion, great double page, just amazing. God, just beautiful, beautiful. And so he feels the power in him and orders Desaad to rise. So he is able to bring back the dead and knows that the power is true. And he basically says, let Apocalypse beware, because Orion is about to become law. So we're going to have a quick 2-page that Walt Simonson drew in, I believe it was in 1997, as a backup to John Byrne run with the New Gods. So this is the origin of Desaad. Walt Simonson drew it, and John Workman did letter it. However, it was written by, real quick, Scott Beatty. So, basically, as a kid, you can see that he was evil. Here he is killing that bird, and he poisoned the lover of Darkseid, because the Darkseid's mom wanted him to marry Tigra. So in order to facilitate that, he had to kill his lover. Darkseid, however, didn't take it very kindly, and decided to prove himself to Darkseid. So he ended up killing Darkseid's own mother instead. Darkseid then grew through the ranks and continued his treachery, but Darkseid was never fooled by Desaad, and occasionally Darkseid would punish him, but he would always, because of being so opportunistic and everything, he always went back to line, just always trying to wait for his opportunity. So and then here kind of gives you a little bit about him. So but I figured I would share that here with you. So now we are going to do issue 12. And normally I tell people in the beginning we're going to do 2 issues, but I completely spaced it. So that is my fault. That's all right. So here's the cover. And so I like how it starts, Space the Final Frontier. A long, long time ago. Sort of an homage to Star Trek and Star Wars. So this is a galaxy called the Promethean Galaxy. And here we have these old gods sort of trapped in in here. So, and we have a ship that is approaching them. They can tell that the giants are alive, but currently inert. So, and they land on them, and has his crew. This individual here has his crew depart for a mission here, and so they go to drill to get something that they need out. So they tell him that the systems, that everything's ready to go. And he says that this mission must be an absolute secret. And so he must do what must be done. They all understand. So he tells them there's no pain. So this is obviously Darkseid. And of course here at the end it's like, whoa. And the Omega Beam misses him. And Darkseid tells him that killing him would be foolish. And Darkseid is no fool. And he trusts that neither will ever speak of this again. And time to go home. So obviously, if you saw that part in the beginning where it said a long time ago, this is in the past. So, and now we are in the present with Orion here. Very, this is just an amazing composition. We got our credits. And there's Desaad, just amazing. What a great artist Simonson is. I'm always in awe. I love his art so much. I know a lot of people are all about Jim Lee and Todd McFarlane and Mark Silvestri, and I am too. I absolutely adore their work, but man, oh man, I also love Simonson. So we're still in Nebraska. So Orion's about to return to Apocalypse, but sees all the people that were affected by the anti-life equation. So he speaks to them to return and live as resume their life as if this tragedy had never happened, and everybody reawakens. And we see this kid reporter, holy moly, that's Orion of the New Gods. Now, I have to tell you that if you don't recognize the clothes, I'll try not to ruin it for you, but you should be able to tell who this is without me spilling the beans. So his name is Billy. Obviously, he sees Orion and Desaad, so he decides to follow him through the boom tube because he wants to get a good story. And he lands and recognizes that he's in Apocalypse. And he's confused because Orion is of New Genesis and wonders why he's there. Of course, he doesn't know everything that's been going on. So Orion has sent Desaad to his labs to await his orders. So, and he's about to assert his complete control over Apocalypse. And suddenly hears all that screaming. And it's beyond the orphanage of Granny Goodness, and is surprised by what he sees. And the people, or you can see a group of people being sent into the to the pits, and you can see they're being thrown in there. And of course, it is all because of Granny Goodness, which is the name implies, Granny Goodness, but of course she is not very good. So Orion confronts her, and she tells her guards to kill him, but they're all frozen by him. And so she takes off this mega rod and shoots him because it can kill anyone, even a god. But she misses, and he uses his power on her, tells him she'll grovel. And she's like, no, 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 no. But ultimately, she does what he says and orders um, her guard to all jump instead of those kids that they were going to throw into the pits. And then, so Granny has to watch them all throw themselves. And then he tells her that after they're done, she has to throw herself along with them. So now he's going to check on all the orphans. Um, and Orion says they're all free. Um, but because of his power, he's basically they're all sort of under his control as well. So this individual here is called Red One, and he is talking to Meteora, telling that Orion is more powerful than ever before, and he is taking complete control of Apocalypse and what he did with Granny's factories and everything within. He's just taking control of everything, and of course he takes control of Red One, and so Meteora is of course very upset, and she yells, because she swore that she'd get even with Orion when he killed Darkseid, and she will drive New Genesis and Apocalypse to the brink of war and beyond, and has a plan because, of course, Lightray is now under her control. So now in Apocalypse, Orion is asserting his total control. He tells them to be good to each other, no more destructions, peace be with everybody, return to your homes and to yourselves, and they're dismissed. So now we are in New Genesis, and Lightray is going to speak with Tachyon. So Tachyon asks him why he has summoned all the new gods and why he wasn't advised about it. And Lightray tells him that they don't need him anymore, and Meteora shoots at him. Now she doesn't kill him because of his connection to the source, and so he'll remain unconscious. And now Lightray is under her complete control. So Lightray gathers all the new gods, similar to how Orion had gathered, but instead of peace, he's telling the New Genesis people that they need to prepare for war. And of course, Meteora is happy because Orion has to die. And we're back in Apocalypse, and all the guards have thrown themselves, but Granny Goodness is trying to resist, but she's unable to. And of course, the little kid sees that she's jumping, and Billy, of course, if you didn't recognize his outfit, is the human version of Captain Marvel, or as he is called now, Shazam, because that's what he would say. And so he goes to save her, and of course she's trying to tell him to let him go because he has to reach the pit because Orion commanded her to. And Simonson is really drawing him very similar to how he was drawn in the Golden Age. So, Orion, of course, recognizes Captain Marvel, and says that Granny Goodness is going to be spared because lucky subordinates can be useful. And so he asks Captain Marvel how he followed him. He tells him about the boom tube and all that stuff. And Orion kind of starts thinking that, on Earth, the anti-life equation still exists in fragments, and it could be a wild card to threaten the universal peace. And something's going to have to be done about that. So Orion's becoming it might not be under his control, so we'll have to just keep seeing what's going on. And he tells Mortala that he has to return to Earth, but she will be in charge, and he uses his power against on her, that she has to obey, and of course she does because he's in total control. And then opens up a boom tube, and him and Captain Marvel return to Earth. And John Byrne and Terry Austin will be doing the art for a few issues, but Simonson will come back, and Simonson, of course, will write the stories here. And so we have a short little backup here, written by Simonson. The lettering is still by Workman, but Jim Lee actually does this little backup feature. So I figured it'd be kind of cool to look at it. As we all know, if you've been following me with the story, Darkseid was supposedly killed. And so here, this individual, which we all recognize, we all know who this is having a little bit of a tantrum. And this woman here appears, and he throws his Omega beams, but she's actually able to stop him. And she's in control there, and gives him a drink, which he throws back at her, but she reconstructs it and says, why are you an ill-mannered beast, abusing her hospitality? So he stops and then goes ahead and takes a drink and begs her pardon. Her name is Pythia. And he says that he has basically... Well, she asks him why he's so mad. He says that some of the plans he had have gone awry. And, well, of course, that upsets him. He says he hadn't seen her since he arrived. And she says that she didn't need him till just this moment. So, and that his despair called him. He says he doesn't get despaired, but he did lose control. But he, of course, realizes that nothing can't be, anything broken can be fixed. She basically says long time ago, she released many evils into the world, and now she's buried them all there, and it's the refuge of the damned. Darkseid, of course, says hope is an illusion. And now we, of course, get to reveal that it was Darkseid, but we all knew that, so I won't pretend that you didn't know that. So great. Jim Lee, man, look at all that hatching. What a spectacular, look at that, a full, just, Jim Lee also does amazing work. Him and Scott Williams, man, what a team those two are. So Darkseid is a prisoner here because he can't get out either. So he sends a beam out, and that beam is intercepted here by Metron, and realizes that something terrible is going to be happening, and they need to return to Apocalypse. So that concludes our story here. So Orion 11 and 12. Thanks for listening. Like and subscribe.